please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome tonight to our July 13th, 2023 town board meeting. Our town attorney, Mr. Chalky, is on vacation, so I've asked Mr. Gilchrist to sit in. The only problem, he's a very popular attorney. He has another commitment over in Polson Hill tonight. They're doing some important business over there, so I like to change things a little bit. I think we'll have public access and then we'll write the resolutions, and then maybe I can excuse Andy and we can go on with the meeting. So at this point, we got anybody in the public who would like to get up and speak? That'll be a good time. We'll have it at the end also.
I'll be quick.
That's okay.
Jennifer Mann, 91 Hill Road. I know you probably all heard about the closing of the Burdett Birth Center. And that's a very big issue for a lot of people in the county. So there's a lot of moms very interested in trying to keep it open. I got a resolution that the city of Troy wrote. I don't know what the process is here, so tell me if this is possible. I changed it for the town of Brunswick, and I'm hoping that you guys will consider passing it, asking Governor Hochul, as in her role as overseer of Department of Health, to step in and keep it open. So I have a copy. I put Tom Chaffee on it.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Just
I
hand
have
it in.
copies.
We can give the town clerk to take a look at it, right?
Correct.
Yes, I hope you'll just consider, if a lot of the counties, towns in the county would do that, it hopefully would make a difference, and we could keep a safe place for women to go. It's too far to have to go to Albany.
Here, there's some people starting to listen, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a step back a little bit.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else at this? Anybody else at this point? Come on up.
Hello, Christy Fromhofer, 72 Oneida Ave. All right, I'm gonna go fast too, but I will compliments tonight. I would like to thank Supervisor Harrington for all the involvement in our neighborhood recently, trying to improve the safety in a lot of ways. So we are incredibly appreciative of all of your efforts. Very appreciative. You've been visiting neighbors. The stop sign has been trimmed. The trees were hiding the stop sign, so that's helpful. And cutting the lawn of the abandoned home on that super hot day. So thank you very much. I also wanted to thank you too for arranging for Mr. Bonesteel to come out and take a tour of our neighborhood and look at some of the traffic situations. We sort of rushed him through because we were getting a thunderstorm, so we kind of hustled him, but I think he got the idea, and we really appreciate his time also. I would like to also thank Mike Bailey for being very proactive in the whole highway department for cleaning out the storm drains. Nobody ever really did that before. We would flood, and we haven't had a single bit of water in our neighborhood with all of this rain. That is amazing. So thank you very much. And also on the way in, I noticed how gorgeous all the flowers are. I mean, really, really nice job.
Tracy.
I do have a really little quick ask. And I know this isn't the place for it really, but I just thought that I would ask for no Chick-fil-A. Is that how to say it?
For what?
Chick-fil-A, no.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Chicken Phil, I'm trying to.
I don't know, I wrote it down wrong, I don't really eat there, so I wasn't sure. Or maybe that we could encourage some of the businesses that want to come in to fill some of the empty spaces, because it seems like all of a sudden, there is a lot of empty spaces. We have the Roxy's and the beauty thing across the street, so possibly they would be able to do that. And any of these new businesses that come in, I know I asked before, I wasn't sure, is there any way we could ask them to sort of tweak their buildings so that they kind of reflect the charm of the town rather than just the generic neon lights, and make them look a little bit more.
The planning board has done that.
They have, great, okay, I realize.
Tractor Supply.
Yeah. The Stewart's is absolutely, they're absolutely gorgeous.
I
If we could
understand.
duplicate that in any capacity, I think that would make a huge difference. I just know there's not a lot of open comment for the planning board, so I thought I would just.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Nigros had a change in operation. I think the daughter's kind of running Nigros now. I don't know what's happening. Somebody said she's a little tougher or something. I don't know if they raised the rents way up and all that stuff, but instead for me to say, okay, you gotta go in there, and then they pounding the rents on people. So that's a little hard too, you know? But I understand, I don't like empty stores either.
Yeah, there's the Roxy's, there's the Chef Place.
Roxy's, I believe, people are already looking at that, I believe, so. Yeah. Anybody else at this point? Would be a bad time to jump up. They've got public access to the also. You okay? I'm getting nervous, oh, my attorney's leaving us.
Bill Ryan from 8 Genesee Street. I just have a quick question I'm in the Genesee North neighborhood where we've had a lot of the traffic issues lately.
Yep.
And I know that you had a sheriff up there, catching speeders and ticketing them. Is that kind of sort of permanent, or is that just a temporary Band-Aid, or what? Do you have any plan on that?
We don't have control over the sheriff department or the state police. We have been very fortunate in being able to work with the sheriff, you know. But as you know, it's a tough situation because they tell me there's only like 4 deputies that cover all the rest of their county.
Right.
And when I was in there the other day, they tell me no sooner got there and they had a Walmart call with somebody stealing something and away they went. Been a little fortunate now because they have their resource officers, one at Hoosick Valley, one at Tamarack, and schools out, so they put those 2 in a car. So, you know, it's very hard, you're right, it's very hard to say they're gonna park there for a permanent Band-Aid, I mean, I understand. But they were pretty impressed with being able to write tickets very easily. I mean, there's no way to
It's a
stop.
total moneymaker. I mean, come on.
I kind of understand that.
Hopefully you were thinking about some sort of a permanent solution, because, you know, people aren't gonna stop speeding just because, oh, last month somebody was up there giving out tickets, you know?
Right.
I mean, we all know that.
Well, we're still studying it. As Christie said, Mr. Bonesteel, our engineer, Wayne Bonesteel, I mean, there's not, if I say so myself, there's not too many towns that would send a town engineer down to meet the kitchen with 2 people, but Wayne talked to me and he walked around and he saw a few issues. So, and by being there, it seems quite a bit lately, as you know, there's 2 main roads that it seems to be hitting, I think, North Fork and Genesee.
Right.
I mean, the crazy thing is, when you talk about all the traffic, and which I know, and the complaints, I was just surprised that when I went down there, the one lady that called, I think she's here, I went down because she was real concerned about the traffic, and I was standing on her front lawn, I looked, and there's a basketball hoop in the road, and Oneida, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, I'm here for traffic, whose basketball? That's mine. Who plays? The kids. And then if you go over on Green, there's another basketball hoop. So the tough situation is, I mean, I know it's a situation, but in the commercial area of town, the busiest spot we've got, kids are out playing basketball on roads, in our roads, you know, but the situation is, and I know, trust me, I know, you're not gonna like to hear that, and if I was a real politician, I would move on. But what I'm saying is, what I'm seeing personally, that's almost still a neighborhood on some of those small streets. I'm being told that people still walk there. The only ones that use that are people that live there. So, I mean, that's not a disaster. Your challenge and our challenge is those 2 streets, which wicked traffic, nobody stopping, people shooting through. So what I'm saying, we need to study and figure out what to do on those 2 mainly. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there isn't problems on the side street, but I'm saying the 2 main drags are really your concern.
Oh, yeah.
If we gotta figure out something there.
One other thing, my understanding is that Google Maps and Waze are directing people to our neighborhood. Do we know if there's a way to get Google to stop that?
That I don't know, but I do know,
You can go into Google and do that.
Oh, okay.
You can go into Google and change the settings so that if enough people do it, it won't show up as a pass-through on that.
All right.
Just go to Google and it'll show you how to do
It'll
it.
show you how to do that.
now they're setting them up Route 40 Route 40 over Plank Road over here, and then come out up on 7.
Yeah.
So that's getting crazy. Mr. Murley's here tonight, and he found a gentleman lost over by your property, and they said they're following GPS, so they're shooting them that way too. They're putting them all over. I know you guys, I know there's an issue down there. I've got a few ideas, I don't wanna say them, but I know we gotta do something on those, you know.
Okay,
Okay?
well, we'll wait with excited anticipation.
Thank you. Uh-oh,
Uh-oh.
I was told, comment, just listen and don't get them stirred up. Here I am, go ahead.
You didn't get me started. My name's Liz Habenack. I'm on 31 Genesee Street.
Yeah,
I appreciate the sheriff's coming because I almost got hit on the road the other day. I was like,
right on Genesee.
I was in the grass. And
Oh,
this idiot came flying down the road with a red pickup truck, but it was a work truck. And his mirror almost hit me, so I had to really run into the grass. I don't think I should have to walk and have that, because I walk every day for a mile to 3 miles a day. In the morning,
Where I'm confused is, you're saying you're almost getting run over on Genesee Street. Well, we got kids playing basketball on
well,
Genesee.
that's her problem, not mine.
This
Sorry
is what,
about that.
this is what confuses me. You're an adult, you're scared to death, but I got kids out playing basketball. I don't know, I don't know.
Same thing about
I get so confused when I'm trying to figure this out.
Duncan's Farm, when you go down Genesee Street and you go that way to Duncan Farm, the cars come flying down that way and they come around that corner.
That corner is a big problem.
Yeah,
That walk around was very good for Wayne.
so I appreciate if you try to do something. I mean, I know you probably can't. We gotta get out of the road like adults, but, and I was the one that put it on there on Facebook about Google and Waze, because I was informed that
Yeah.
if you guys go in there and say, hey, can you guys stop sending them through here, because it's a residential area, so. But thank you. That's it.
I wasn't bad, I thought you were gonna throw something at me.
I would have thrown something at you when you pulled in my driveway. When you blocked me a couple months ago.
I would wait for the dog to get let out, you know? All right, anybody else at this point? Let's move, whoa,
I won't.
oh, come on up, grab the mic.
Oh, I don't want to. I just have a quick question.
Well, you got,
All right.
Billy wants to take it.
All right. Other Emery 6 Y Street. Quick question. Did you just refer to our neighborhood as a commercial area?
I'm sorry, what's that?
When you referred to commercial zone area, when you were talking about the basketball hoop on Oneida?
When I'm talking about commercial with Route 7, that area,
Oh, okay. I thought you were specific.
Not your area.
Okay.
commercial, the zoning and all that stuff is where our commercial zone is down there.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
No, I'm not that crazy.
All right, so since you made me get up and get formal, I have a funny story. So yesterday, I go to my kitchen sink and I'm going to refill my water jug to head back downstairs to work. And I hear conversing and I look out and you're in the neighbor's garden. I thought that was really funny. So you were out with Anne Marie. So my kitchen window faces her.
And I got a loud voice, I didn't say anything bad about you.
Oh, I was totally, no, I had to back down and take a call, but it's nice to see you. It's nice to hear your, even if you're walking people in their driveway. It's nice to see you making a presence and making an effort, and we're appreciative.
I
So,
hope my other attorney yells at me for doing this, Mr. Gilchrist. Can I say he's a little nicer? I'm not a yelling. I know you're
I'm gonna
not.
play this backwards, Robbie.
You probably know I like to talk, and I know some people on Facebook says I'm all talk and no action. I mean, I know that, that's okay.
well, that was what I was gonna say next, is that I hope that we see more of you, and it's not just for somebody who's moaning around.
If somebody has a problem, people will tell you, my whole career, that's what I do. Number one, I enjoy it. Number two, I'm not sure what people are talking about till I get in the area. And when I was there with Anne Marie, who I've never met before, I get the whole history of the whole area. I didn't know there was a lot that big. But I stood there and like 7 out of 10 cars moved through that sign. So today the highway gentleman went down and put up a new sign on Seneca, because I wanted to fade it and cut all the brush. But we got trail bikes over on Highland Creek that's going on our trail system. And I gave out my number over there to probably 10 different people. And when the trail bikes come, which, you know, and I want to wreck our trails, they text me, and a lot of nights I shoot down, Mr. Typically does the same thing. But I ride around, I talk to people there, I just don't go in but that's what I do. So, number one, that's the only way I can get a good feel on things.
All right, well, I can't ever get you on the phone, I'll talk about you on Facebook.
I don't have Facebook, but I got a lot of people that I know that send me, hey, look what they're saying.
Hey, it's good to see you, and it was a funny coincidence. I'm like, that voice sounds familiar.
My wife yells at
I
me.
hope she gave you some vegetables.
The problem is during the day, I don't put my hearing aids on, so I'm twice as loud, you know. But here, I tell Mr. Gilchrist I'm not gonna do all the talking, but
Thank you.
with the trail bikes, just so you know, we've had that gentleman's not here tonight that lives on Chesney Avenue by, Mohawk Ambulance. The trail bikes, the police were able to stop, 4 kids, and they was able to, write a ticket. One young man was 18. The other ones were minors. So, we got a copy of the police report that the gentleman handed in at the last board meeting, the resident handed it to us. I looked on it, I knew that person, one of the kids, I know the parents, I've been here so long. So what I did was I went up to their house and rang the doorbell with mom and dad and had a lovely talk and visit, and nice people. And the mother said, just let you know, I said, well, we got a situation with the bikes, and it's not my son, they used to ride, but we got rid of the dirt bikes. So it's not him. And I said, okay. We just got so much damage, people were using our trails. I don't want anybody hurt, 4-wheelers and stuff. So as long as it wasn't him. But before I leave, I gotta ask you one question. I got a police report here, and it's his name. Is this your son? And wow, she opened up the door upstairs and yelled because he was downstairs. I think it was,
Get your butt up here.
get up here. And when he came up, I knew the young man. I seen him. Like I said, I've been around a long time. A nice young man. He's a good kid. And I said to the mother, don't kill this kid. He stopped. At least he stopped. And then the kid said, no, I ran out of gas. But anyway, before, a little more searching, I got the names of the other 3 kids. I knew there were 2 brothers. I knew those parents real well. That was my next stop. I went to their house and I talked. The other parent is a single mom. She's a lovely lady. I didn't know her. I do now. I had a great visit, and those bikes have not been back to that area. And that gentleman's not here tonight. Mark knows that. So when you say, it's nice to see you, but you're gonna disappear, I like to talk. I've always done that, so. I'll tell you how far back, and I'm done. Gary Gordon, who all of you know, Gary Gordon's son, at one point when I first started his political career, wrote a nice, lovely, long letter. I don't know how old he was, he's just a little guy, about asking about town government and how it runs and all this stuff. So I went down, rang his doorbell, and introduced myself, and went in, sat down with a young man, and had a great talk. And Gary still talks about that. And now I just heard now the young man's married and starting a family or something. I've been around forever. So the chance of me just blowing in because that's what I do, And I'll be honest with you, I can see some possibilities down there that I didn't see before in your area. So, are we gonna stop everything? No, but I have a few ideas, so. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't say anything bad about you. I gotta remember. See, when you live out where I live, there's only a bunch of cows, I say whatever I want on my farm, I kind of forget the neighborhood. So. All right, Bill, let's do the resolution, so Mr. Gilchrist. maybe move on.
Alrighty. So resolutions for tonight. We have 3. Resolution 40 of 2023 is a resolution to apply for funding for the 2023 Consolidated Funding Application for Water Quality Improvement Program.
I'll offer that. Second.
Foregoing resolution was offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Valestri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
We have to replace a dam over there on our North Lake, which has been red tagged, and we've been looking at, we got the engineering report done. I think the cost is down here around $2 million, which I would much rather, with the Sickle area, I could do a lot with $2 million and pave roads and stuff. But there's a new round of grants, there's a possibility maybe we can slide into that, so that's what this does. All right.
Okay. Resolution number 41, 2023. Resolution authorizing execution of stormwater management agreement for North Troy Solar Project.
Offer. I'll second.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian. Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Valestri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 41, 2023. Resolution accepting bond for decommissioning of solar equipment, North Troy Solar Project.
Offer. I'll second that.
Bill, can I just confirm?
Yes, sir.
On the number, I think the resolution regarding the stormwater agreement was 41.
Yeah.
Subject to check.
Yes, what did I do? Oh, I'm sorry, did I get the numbers mixed up?
Well, that's okay. So on decommissioning security, that'll be 42.
Correct.
You are correct. I just read it wrong. Yep. Resolution 42 is the decommissioning bond.
Oh, I missed it when you're not here.
I misspoke, I'm sorry. Let's see, so that resolution 42,
Right.
was offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Valestri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Gilchrist, I think we're okay, huh?
You're more than okay. But one thing I do want to ask, you want to hear from Tom?
Mr. Merlin? Tom?
We can review that.
Yeah. I still have public access at the end. I didn't know whether to hold you to the end or not, so. But if you got time,
I do, yeah. Thanks. We'll have that.
that was
I'll
good.
be brief, is that,
Don't
We
be
had-
brief on my account. Take-
Okay,
take-
no,
take just a minute. I appreciate
Go ahead,
it.
your name and address, Tom.
Thomas Morelli, 32 Hialeah Drive, Troy, New York, 1992. I developed the Diamond Rock Plaza Retail Center on Oakwood Avenue. And part of that project was gonna be the retail building, 9,500 square feet. And the vacant lot was gonna be an automatic car wash. 8 years now, we've been trying to get a car wash unsuccessfully. But we have been approached recently about a grocery store possibly going on that lot, which would be north of the building. And in order to do the grocery store, the zone right now is industrial light. And to put the grocery store in there, we need to change the zoning to a B15. And that's what this would be all about, is to try and change the zoning. And then if that's passed, then go to the planning board and the zoning board for site plan approvals and any variances that would be needed.
So you're looking for a zoning change over there?
Yes, and we make the building match the existing Diamond Rock Plaza from an architectural point of view. The existing driveways would remain the same, would be one-way driveways on Oakwood Avenue. And right now, all the utilities there, public water, sewer, stormwater, gas, electric, telephone, everything. So there's not be much except building a building on that vacant lot.
We just went through one week process, and my town attorney's on vacation. Tom, I'd like to have Tom look at it. But Andy, any comments on?
Sure. So in general, Tom, as you know, the procedure is the board will review this. to determine whether it is willing to entertain the request to change the zoning. That's within their legislative discretion. They can choose not to entertain. If they do choose to entertain it, then the review would continue. And generally, the board would then undertake the procedure to go through for proposed amendments. So I think this will give the board and Tom a chance to review that material and determine whether to entertain the application.
I think the grocery store would be less traffic wise than a automatic car wash. So I think that traffic point of view would maybe a little bit beneficial for Oakwood Avenue.
Right, and for this board's information while you're reviewing this, the Tom's Diamond Rock Plaza was approved, I think it was 2015, and certainly was approved as, a retail use. When the board passed its 2017 zoning law, that area was rezoned to light industrial. So there is the existing retail use there, yet the underlying zoning district is light industrial. And since this would be a change of use, it would need to go to the planning board, but the issue now is the zoning doesn't allow for that type of use in grocery stores. So that's context for when you review this to determine whether the board's willing to entertain the application to amend the zoning.
Board, any questions? All right, now we got a packet. Thank you, Tom. All right, Mr. Gilchrist?
Thank you.
Mr. Hammond, I'll let you out early.
Yes.
Keep your phone on.
I'll do that.
Thank
you.
All right, board, minutes of previous meeting, June 8th.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report by elected officials. Thanks. Town clerk, Mr. Lewis.
Okay. All right, June income was $17,775.51. In rounded amounts, we had $11,575, which was the tail end of the summer youth registration period. $3,613 in recycling sales in the center and the office. $1,400 in rental fees, reservations for the community center and the pavilion. We had 8 new community center and 2 pavilion reservations. $424 in dog licenses. We have 12 new residents and 54 renewed. $762 in other miscellaneous fees. $527 vital statistics. $125 DEC, that's the licensing, all fishing licenses. And that was our cut of $2,578 in sales. And let's see, $110 in just other miscellaneous fees. We had a vendor permit and a bell jar application for the Brunswick Elks. Some notes, the beach passes are going crazy, of course. Got hot and everybody wants to get wet. So they're still going great. The camp registration total was 142. And to the best of my knowledge, not hearing otherwise, everything's running fairly smoothly. No issues have come to light, which is great. So the fishing licenses are still on sale and hunting licenses go on sale in another couple of weeks, usually beginning of August. And a big one which people have been waiting for is the hazardous waste day for our town has been scheduled. It's going to be September 16th. Pre-registration is required. The way to pre-register is you can go to our website. The links are available. There's a link for the actual registration, which is very simple. And there's also a link to the coordinator, the Rensselaer County coordinator, and her phone number if you have any questions at all. That's all on our website. If you can't get to our website, give us a call. We'll give you the information. And Rebecca made a bunch of copies of the sheet. The sheets are up at the table on your way out, which give you a clue of what can be dropped off and what can't. And it's insane what you can drop off. But it's very important to pre-register. And they say that it's limited. So do it now before it's too late. Okay? And that's about it.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, a motion for Bill's report.
I'll make it.
Second.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Come on up, Michael. Highway Department.
Mr. Wismark, this whole job.
I got a crew of 20 people that help me.
Thanks.
It's easy for me to take all the accolades up. Kevin,
You work just as hard as they do, if I may add. You work just as hard or harder.
they work hard, I just work hard. Like I do. I have a great assistant, Kevin. He's my deputy, even though he's not, he's just a foreman. My foreman is great. Got a great girl, you guys picked up. These two girls here, they protect me, and my sisters. Anyway, that's enough of that. I've been working for you for a year now.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Seems like.
working out pretty
I
good.
thought you told me it felt like a lifetime.
It's hard to see things the second time around, it's kind of different.
A little hard to figure out where the roads are, but you're doing pretty good.
I'm getting that down pretty good.
Yep.
In the last month, we went through 3,200 on the table. We did roughly 30 roads. A lot of them short little roads, so I don't really count them. There's 30 roads we got to take this year. We just finished 3. Now, the fancy little list that wasn't doing much. Patching, we get 5 men for 12 days. Brush pickup, 8 men for 5 days. And 2 men for a day cleaning trucks and straightening things up after paving. Had a couple men go down just before the beach opened up, go through the buildings, making sure there's no beads and pipes and walls and anywhere, so the kids don't get stung. Open everything up there, and they did that. Had 2 men for 3 days doing military banners, keeping the banners up in the air, right? John Spiak has spent 14 days in the last month mowing sides of the road. There's about 130 miles of roads that he has to run up and down that mower, and he's mowing twice so far this year. The other one is Rodney, the most ball fields. He did soccer fields, baseball fields, football fields, cemeteries, hysterical society. He's
Well, she won't help you in the morning.
Burn these bridges.
We have one gentleman that's good at making picnic tables. He just kind of turns picnic tables out like a Santa's workshop. So we got picnic tables all over the place. He's spent a couple days doing that. Got 9 days of pulling recyclables. 1 man doing that. We had some loader work pushing up brush. We got quite a little pile of brush over at the landfill. That needs to be taken care of, but he was pushing that up, cleaning that up. The back truck, we had 3 men for 10 days. They've been going through only 10 to 15 men a day, just cleaning them out for a couple of years. The back truck was broke for quite a while. Our mechanic went through it, went all the way down to the lug nuts and came back up and put the new truck together, which is wonderful. So that's working good. The towns around us last week got all tore up. I think part of the reason that didn't happen here was in December, all the culverts were clean when we had that storm.
Yeah, that's big.
BJ Harris, the foreman, went through, and he's been cleaning catch basins for the last month and a half. Makes a lot of difference, the water goes away easier. I think that's why we had no calls, we had a couple of trees fall down, that's it. Cemetery cleanup, we go over and get all this trash and take it over to the cemetery. Had a couple of days of doing that. And, up on the press, we catch basin with the pipes that were falling apart, we replaced them and put that back together. It says ditching for 2 minutes for 2 days, it's really, they kind of run out and do some ditching and then they get hauled off, but we're doing a lot of ditching, it's really helping a lot, putting the road back in water in the ditches where it belongs, not out in the middle of the roads. Had some signs that we've been replacing, and we've had 4 days of for 3 days blackout prep. And, the last 3 days we were in Cleveland. That takes all the trucks and all the men. And, we're very lucky, Hudson County brought 2 crews together, one was their page, we were in a couple of their trucks. Wonderful that they helped us out. A couple of weeks ago, we got them to use trucks, so it's kind of a
It was
handwork.
very helpful.
Very helpful. Their guys have a lot of experience paving. It shows in the work. That was accomplished. That's my report for it.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. Entertain a motion for Mr. Bailey's report. Second?
Sure.
All in favor? The rest of the story, Michael, today, he won't tell you. Not only do I visit people, everybody calls me around here. I keep pretty similar all the time. We're digging ditches today over in Spring Avenue, and which you have to do to save the roads. And I understand one of the people got a little carried away there, wasn't happy with digging the ditches, but it wasn't bad. But my story is, he was not very nice to a couple of our men. He was a little abusive, but, with due respect, he was about 5 foot tall. So Michael went over there. The story is, when he got out of the truck and walked over, and the guy said, "Gee, the ditch isn't really that bad." All good. So he is helpful too. So he stands behind his guys too. That's why they work for him. So, Bill, come on up.
Oh, you might have a stormwater
It's
problem.
boring.
I don't want to know that. So.
We all said that, it's all good. Let's
It's
hope
all
I didn't
good.
speak too soon.
Sounds like you're not gonna win.
There you go, good. Water and sewer report for June 2023. It's short and sweet because, as you all well know, I had some family issues and everything else going on, so we're over that part of life now. This past month has been primarily dedicated to reading meters. We completed 2,239 meter reads out of a total of 2976, so we got 700 reads. And it's that last 10% because, people have locked dates, dogs, things of that sort, getting those reads. It seemed to take just as long as to take 2,000 reads some days. So we're working very hard to get those different locations of radio meters, so we won't run into that in the future. We continue to have issues with the North Lake Avenue sewer main and also the sewer that comes down from West Lane, Fair Park View, that comes through a wooded section of land. There was an old road that went up through there. It's full of roosters there not too terribly long ago. The guys were out just the other day opening that back up again. So that prioritized hammering those lines and seeing if it appears to be mostly root intrusion. So we can probably do some root treatment. Maybe we have to do some localized repairs and that we need to look at that because we've been out there this year several times. Unfortunately, like Mike said, back truck came back just in time for us to do all this work, so that was a good thing. Working with our attorneys and stuff like that to get these solar fields, CB, Bel Air, Lane, they've got their construction trailers and everything out there. They're about to start work on that end, and Amp Energy, which is the 10 Lake Solar, they're proceeding through their Chuck's doing reviews and stuff, and so expect them to talk it up and on the end of the year. So other than that, that's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. I make a motion to approve Bill's report. Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Golden, come on up. Superintendent of Utilities Inspection.
Report from the building department for June of 2023. We had 135 building and property inspections, 328 active building permits, 24 permits issued or renewed, 10 meetings, 2 planning board meetings, 1 zoning board meeting, 0 court cases, 1 fire inspection, 12 follow-up complaints, 2 code call-outs for inspections, 22 code complaints, 22 code complaint inspections, 5 vacant properties identified or suspected with the accessories department, 5 planning board projects, 4 zoning board projects, and 6 FOIL requests to this building. That's the report. What I had Bill hand out, what I gave him was something that I first previewed in the March meeting with Chrysler. And I was, it's reviewed by Tom Trophy, and he offered some suggestions of which to go on out and see what other municipalities did. And I did get information from North Greenwich, Half Moon, Glenville, and Malta. And out of all the questions that he had, there was only one lacking, and that was what the board's opinion was of this. What this will do, this is just, I was showing this to Phil earlier, this is just one report. This is from the Newbury Drive. This is the fire inspection reports, or the sprinkler inspection reports, and check valve testing for just Reed's development. And all of this stuff has to be inputted, manually by a member of our staff. And what the Brycer app will do is they will have all of that input themselves. The fire sprinkler inspection services do that. And then you just hook onto their app. They will send out the notices of when it's due, what the results were from the test, any deficiencies to follow up on. And it's just not sprinklers. They can do fire suppression systems, lid systems, there's many other things that they can do. And I was just wondering if the board would like me to continue to pursue this. The fee for the town is $0. The fee is taken up by the sprinkler inspection companies at $17 per sprinkler system. So in the case of Nigro, they have 2 sprinklers down there, systems. It would be $34. And that's taken up by that. And you get all of the information, all the deficiencies.
Did you
I
say
think it's
those,
something to look into further.
those towns that you mentioned, do they use this company?
What they did, and what Tom very wisely pointed out, was that, hey, there's nothing in here that says they have to input into this. Many of the big sprinkler companies are already doing this. I didn't know about this until I asked Marini for reports for this year. And they said, oh, it's on Brycer. What's Brycer? And they said, oh, we've been using this for a long time, or BM Guardian. And that's how they do it. And that seems to be more and more. It's something that I kind of want to get ahead of now, because our postal code is the same as Troy's. And if I could get on Brycer first, before Troy ever does, that I think would give me a better, division, so I don't get mixed up with sprinkler systems down in Troy.
So does the town drive this, or do the sprinkler companies? Or do the developer, or the building owner? Who kind of drives
What happens is
the input to this?
the compliance agent will send out a form letter stating that Town of Brunswick has adopted this. And then all of the sprinkler companies in the area know, all they have to do is put it in Brycer and I can access
And then you can download it into your system?
it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Is it just sprinkler truck or is it?
oh,
other
they
stuff?
do fire extinguishers, sprinkler systems.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pricing model, it's $17.
Mm-hmm. And I think
Everything
the sprinklers were extinguishers were $5 a piece.
Right.
But,
And then private hydrant systems, special suppression systems, fire alarm systems, they charge for each one of these things?
yes, yep.
Okay, so it's more than just $34.
Well, in the
For
case of the sprinkler system, like I said, Nigro, he only has 2 systems down.
Well, he has fire extinguishers and he has other equipment. but
Yes,
that's-
he does. And
So it all
with those, that is on the tenant's back down in Nigro.
Okay, so they'll be charged for all those too, not just $34.
You're really $5 per, yep.
But they're not doing the actual inspection, they're just giving you a
It's going
place
to
to
be
see if
RBM's
it's done.
already in, it's going to be other major sprinkler system installers and testers that are going to do this.
What do you about the fire extinguisher part of it? They're
That'd be like AFE, all the fire extinguishers.
still having them do an inspection,
They do the testing of the fire extinguisher and
and they input to Brycer. And you just have access to it, right, see this.
And they pay, like, for example, some of these big commercial buildings that have multiple fire extinguishers,
Oh, gotcha.
obviously a lot. So they all have to pay Ricer $5 a piece, correct?
Yeah.
What about like the fire companies and all that? Do they have to pay into this too as well?
I didn't query fire companies, but quite a few fire companies are on board.
They pay for,
I would assume they would have, yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it has notable national property, Chicago, LA, you know, big places like that. It's not without, you know, some work on my end either. I mean, I have to identify what services we use. Sprinkler services are predominant in our area, who does most of the inspections. And notify them, send them our town logo that will go on the letters that are written out. It was interesting to call up other municipalities. I'm glad Tom suggested that, because you've got to talk with their inspectors and see what problems they had. You know, one of them was the smaller companies. A lot of them didn't input. So that was one of the things with the resolution. 3 of the 4 that I mentioned adopted what was in here. And I think it was Half Moon that changed it up a little bit, but it seemed more in the verbiage of what their inspector was supposed to do, that they hadn't changed to be able to fit this better. So
how often do they do this? 'Cause it
these
says
sprinkler systems are inspected for a year.
it's annually. All these things are annual?
This is an à la carte deal or a package? So I mean, could we decide to do just sprinkler systems and not
Oh, sure.
extinguishers?
Yeah, we can utilize this to its fullest or in a very minimal. Yeah, it would give me the
As
most
a
impact.
business owner and say, okay, the sprinkler system for 17 is fine, but if I count all the fire extinguishers, as you well know, and say, well, there's $5 a piece times that I didn't plan on.
Fire extinguishers are so easy for me because I can just go and look at them. You know, where I have to actually dig into the reports and find out, hey, if you've taken off an end cap and measured wall thickness of the sprinkler system, that's your 5-year inspection. You know, has that been done?
So you're pushing mostly for the sprinkler side? would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said, we can utilize as much or as little as needed.
Well, we could start out with sprinklers and
I don't have any trouble going down this road.
see how that goes, and then we expand it further.
And suppression goes.
See how it works.
It's not. All right, so
Yeah.
that was one of the questions that Tom had left was, you know, of what your sentiment was on it, so. I have time to bring things up like in March, and then we got, you know, busy with construction season. I had a little bit of time to come back and take a look at this. So my next thing that I'll be taking a look at is what we did about clean energy communities. We really gotta get that going too. So that'll be my next endeavor. And there's a very good cost savings for the town with that, especially with the streetlight program, which I think you guys have talked about previously. Just one last thing to the folks there, we do have something proposed for Roxy's. They're going to, planning on coming in for a planning board meeting to say golden green. So. That's golden green. So, any questions? Other?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Motion approved. I'll make it. I'll second it, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Town historian, come on up, Tracy.
Good evening, gentlemen. So this month, what I've been doing is I decided that I would like to find out how many homes we have in the town, and doing so when they were built. So what I did is I was using the Diamond Map program along with the Rensselaer County Tax Map, and I was able to get out a lot of information, and it was surprising how many homes are still standing from the 1700s. That was the first house that was on the list. What I did, I pulled it out with a little help and we put it in Excel. And the oldest home that was listed was built in 1700 and it's located on Krieger's Lane. In 1710, another home was built on North Lake Avenue. I've always called it the Stone House. It's located between Liberty and Woodlawn Court. It was said the owner of that home, Adam Beam, played a role in hiding a famous British spy during the Revolutionary War. From 1700 to 1798, only 23 homes that were built during that time show that they're still in existence through this between the Rensselaer County information that we get from the tax map. And in 1800, it shows that the 26 homes that were built then are still in existence. There were years that it seemed just one home was built, and others there were many. Some examples of this is in 1950, there are 32 homes still standing that was built in 1950. In 1888 are 30 homes. In 1900, 67 homes. In 1920, 65 homes. And these are all still standing homes. So I'm gonna include some of this information and put it in our mapping program because I think it would, for me, I think it's kind of neat to be able to look in the map and see where the taverns were, the blacksmith shop, in correlation to Hoosick Street, Route 2. Because in Center Brunswick here alone, there were quite a few little blacksmiths and their own little things, and I think that would be really neat to see where they were. So that's what I've been doing. And I've also been putting the finishing touches on my historians page for our website, and I'm hoping to have that up in the next week. So that's what I do. So I find it very interesting.
Well, we all do.
Well, I hope so.
Entertain a motion for Tracy's report.
I'll make it. One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tracy, I would like to have you reach out to Anne Marie, the lady that I visited with the other day. I found that completely interesting.
Oh, yes.
History.
Yes.
She's been there, as a family, been there a long, long time. I never realized there's such a large lot down in there myself, so. But she showed me some old pictures back there that she had on her phone. Super.
Very nice.
Doesn't look like that now.
Oh, yeah.
We know.
Okay.
That was really a nice neighborhood back then. I don't know how many years ago that was, but. All right, where are we? Sarah. Brunswick Community Library, how are you, Sarah?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
All right, so for last month, we had 2,750 visitors to the library. We answered 343 reference questions. Our Wi-Fi was used by 185 unique users. Our study space was used by 220 people. Our technology was used by 121 people, and we processed 16 passports. Our items were checked out 6,927 times, and our programs were attended 825 times. I'm also supposed to start introducing my board members. I'm here with my trustee, Jen Gordon, tonight. For summer, our summer reading program has started. All ages are welcome. Kids, teens, and adults can come help us fill out our summer reading mosaic. Every piece of the mosaic is an hour that somebody reads, and it will create a picture as everybody reads together. All of our readers can stop at the library to pick up a prize for every week that they read. We just finished up our medieval day and our kids' clothing swap. I've had a lot of people asking me when our next clothing swap will be. We will have more in the fall, I promise. And our next highlight programs are July 18th. We are having a small garden design class with Master Gardener Denise Moore. And July 22nd, we are having our Civil War Day. And that is all I have.
Excellent. Thank you. Entertain a motion for library report?
I'll make it.
You have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Bill, correspondence?
Yeah, got a couple letters here. Came in shortly after last meeting, so they're kind of out of context. Let's see. We had a card from, let's see, Darlene Miller on Church Street, and it's for the Highway Department. And I just wanted to thank you for picking up the leaves and branches from the small cemetery down from the State Police Building. I can only imagine the task you folks had after the snowstorm. So that must have been shortly after our last storm. And then we had an email from Mary Willis on McKinley Avenue. Well, actually, she called to compliment the recent paving work done in the Mountain View area. She said the repaired streets in the area look great. Excellent work done paving and making the area so much better and safer. That's it. So both for the Highway Department.
All right, board have any old business?
No.
New business? Warrants,
I make a motion we pay our bills. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Further comments? We get any comments? Further comments? Come on up.
Come on.
Good evening, Jim Tatchik, 387 Brunswick Road. I guess as you know, last week, the planning board approved the first cannabis shop in town. And then it was, when they proposed, when the applicant came in, they proposed to be open from 9 in the morning till midnight on weekends. I got a lot of pushback from the planning board. And then the applicant voluntarily reduced the hours to 9 to 9, 7 days a week. Now, according to the state law, you can be open anywhere between 8 a.m. and 2 a.m. Right?
Imagine, huh?
So I was just wondering whether the town has any intention to limit those hours, because the towns are allowed to limit the hours and the location of the cannabis shops.
The planning board made it 9, right?
Well, they accepted that. The applicant voluntarily.
Saying to do it.
They went according to the planning board's wishes before it came to a decision.
So that's in stone, pretty much.
Hmm?
So that's in stone. If that's a condition by the planning board, they have to abide by it.
For that one.
For that.
Right, that was part of the site plan.
Right.
So, but the town, I was wondering whether you had an intention to set a limit on that at 9 o'clock, for example, or to just go back to the default.
I would imagine the planning boards are gonna stick to their guns on that.
Okay, well, wait a minute. But, Mr. Burley was he had a proposed tenant for a cannabis shop in his plaza. And it was actually just sort of a fluke that the planning board could make a decision. Because in the planning board meeting, when Mr. Burley came here, sort of unofficially, just for information, Mr. Oster said, if it's a retail establishment, the planning board would not normally control the hours of operation, right? So they won't, the planning board will not have the control over this. So,
Something to think about.
something to think about, right? No, it's,
I would think it maybe depends on the location too, maybe.
I was just curious, is there a local law about like opening hours of liquor stores?
Chuck, I don't think so.
Chuck, is there?
All
All right, I'm curious. But from my understanding, with the cannabis legalization, the towns have the right to, to set the hours. But I think now is the time to do this, not wait for a couple more people, not putting up a fight to, I want to go to 2 a.m. because they're legally allowed to do this.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too good to me, so.
Okay,
Good point.
All right.
We'll visit Mr. Chalky, so.
all right, okay, thanks.
Anybody else at this point? Betty, you haven't seen you in a long time. How are you?
Oh, I know, I'm okay. Oh, well, that's actually one of the things, and when I don't get here, I look ahead of time to see what's going on with the meetings. But there haven't been minutes, April, May, June, like there's no minutes.
No, I got.
And I never know what's going on.
Got the
And
last
so
one.
I read what you're gonna talk about, but then I never know what happened. So on those times I can't come, so I'm sorry, I've had to miss 3 whole months.
The elected official, Mr. Lewis,
Oh.
this is the responsibility.
Okay,
Got out
Can't yell at him.
last month's in record time, but.
thank you.
You're getting caught up.
Yeah, oh, well,
Well, you're right, you're right.
The times I'm here, then I know
Jim has
that.
brought that
When
up.
I'm not here, I get a little anxious, like what's going on?
You're right.
So the second thing is, and I don't know if people are aware that this is happening, it's about the traffic. And since the Hannaford stuff, the traffic heading down towards Troy is gotten much wide, a lot worse. A lot of times when the people are pulling out of the Price Chopper, they can't always pull out because sometimes there's so much traffic. If they pulled out, they can't get in the line or else they'd be in the middle of the road. So there's been people being off and stuff. But what I've noticed now, and it happened, for this past month, I've seen it 4 times where, so, all the traffic is backed up, and I'm just sitting in the car waiting, as is everyone else. And, a car from somewhere behind
Down the middle.
drives the middle lane, but, I'm talking
You're right.
all the way down. Like, once it gets to Oneida, there's that little bend, like, I don't know how far they go, but I mean, they're coming from behind the price chopper all the way down. And it's happening like not just once or twice, like, I don't go out much and I've seen it,
Right.
3 or 4 times the past month, so I don't know what you can do, but it looks really dangerous because the cars are going really fast. Like they aren't just driving kind of slow, maybe because they don't want to get caught, but they're going, like
Oh, yeah.
45 or 50 or something, so I don't think there's much you can do about it, but maybe
It's very, very dangerous.
they should really get a ticket though. There should be people there ticketing them because that's super dangerous.
We totally agree.
Yeah, well, so that's all. I mean, once the light was changing and someone was pulling out of the Aldi's and really there was almost a big, he had a like slam on his nose.
Okay.
It's a problem.
Super quick. I just have a question. Sarah, Legner, 75 okay. On the way here, actually, I noticed there's a lot of, power poles behind Planet Fitness. Is something going in there right now? Something approved to go in there?
Which is Chuck, power poles, not to our knowledge.
No?
Are they laying down or staying?
They're like big power poles, but all the wires look like they're just kind of waiting for them to be built.
We will have going up Lord Avenue, they have to bring the 3-phase up to the new solar farm on Bel Air. So there will be line upgrades in that area. They have to,
Yeah, these are
all
like
the
all
solar
the-
farms have to link to 3-phase, and the 3-phase is down in the commercial district. So there will be new poles going up to that solar farm.
Okay, just curious if there's any partners or anything. Thanks.
Gentlemen,
Jennifer Mann, 91 Hall Road. I didn't think about saying this before, and I hope I won't cry, but I just wanted to say something in honor of Donna Milks. We lost a real treasure for our town really recently. It was shocking, so sudden. She worked, I don't know how many of you had the joy to know her. She was such a dutiful citizen. She was my most reliable election inspector. She worked 17-hour days every election. She was a captain every single time. She would tell me in February she was set to work the primary and the November election. She would work early voting. She worked long days, never complained. She just worked our primary, just June 27th. And then she had surgery the next morning and passed from complications. And she just was such a treasure for our town and a wonderful person. So I just wanted to say something in honor of her. We will miss her.
lovely lady.
She was wonderful. She always was just unfailingly kind, professional. I never saw her that she didn't look just beautifully put together. She was amazing.
Yeah,
It's really
very true, thank you.
Yeah.
Another last comment, when I talk about talking to people, probably shouldn't bring this up, it's probably changed, but I did go over and talk to Mark Duncan with Sigaway Creamery also. First half hour didn't go real well, but the second half hour did. I asked Mark if he could keep Sigaway Creamery trucks out of your area. And he said they've been going through there his whole life, coming up out of Fair Park, they go there early in the morning. But he says, we haven't had one in there in a week, none of our trucks. So they have these Ring doorbells now. So I said, there's a film of 3 of your trucks at 4:30 in the morning. But I will say, Mr. Duncan and his boys and his wife, they are Brunswick people for a long time. And I think they stepped up. I think the Sigaway Creamery trucks themselves, I think they're stopped and are using Lord Avenue. I do know you're still getting these delivery Crowley trucks and ice trucks and all that stuff still going through. But that's another one of those talking things, and, you know, he's the one that sold to Hannaford, I understand, he sees a lot of traffic now, so it's crazy, but I still got this mentality that we're Brunswick people, and we can kind of solve things maybe if we all talk and work, so I just want to thank the Duncan family, because you haven't seen one lately, right? Sitway Creamery truck, tomorrow morning, gonna be one going through, and I'll go visit again, but they did step up, I think, so. Anybody else? Oh, come on.
1 second. Sorry.
Come on, Christine.
I'll just be 1 second, just to answer your question about the lights on Hoosick. The Hoosick Road Committee knows about that, and they're proposing smart lights. So when you pull out of Price Chopper, you'll have a spot to go. The lights will be synchronized, so the traffic will flow much easier, sorry. So that is an issue that they're aware of, and that's one firm thing that they're going to be most likely doing.
Wayne Ballsdale, as I mentioned, is a great gentleman to have on board. He used to be, some of you know, the engineer for Rensselaer County. He oversaw the highway. Great connections. Works for a large firm now. Wayne has connections, and he's, of course, our planning board advisor. This traffic light, I know, especially in the weekend here on 142, you'll see traffic sometime all the way up at Duncan or Ginsburg's. Crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So he got a hold of one of the DOT people. They sent someone and said, oh, there's a malfunction here. The thing's reading that there's traffic, where there's not really traffic going over 142. There's a problem. And we'll put it on the schedule. We should be able to fix it 3 or 4 weeks. But that's what you run into. You got a malfunction reader in 3 or 4 weeks before someone's gonna come and do something. So that's what we're up against. So, Mr. Ballesteri, I think we're getting ready to adjourn.
Okay. I'd just like to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Center Brunswick fireman and Alan Boyle, Bill Bradley's mom, and Don Mills.
All great Brunswick people, so thank you. All right, can I have a second?
Yes.
Yep. So we got a motion to adjourn, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, people.
Except for the run on the middle.